Alright everyone, welcome back to another video, and today what I have for everyone is my full review of the Moto G Power. So I've been using this device for a good amount of time, and I feel like I've gathered all my thoughts and opinions on it, and that's what I'm getting ready to share with everyone today in this full review. So hopefully by the end of this video, you guys and gals know whether or not if this device is worth picking up. That being said, a little bit of housekeeping up front, and then we're just going to dive straight in. Going to try and waste as little time as possible on this one. So, recording this video here today, we are using the rear-facing 12 megapixel camera on the Samsung Galaxy S8 Active. This video is being recorded in 720p at 30 FPS, and recording all the audio, we are using the Movo MA2010 omnidirectional microphone. So please, as always, let me know what you think of the overall video quality, as well as what you think of the overall audio quality down below in the comments. All feedback, as always, is greatly appreciated. All right? That being said, if you enjoy this video and or you find it helpful, please help your boy out by giving the video a thumbs up. That really does help me out as well. You don't know how much. And if you would like to see more content like this, please feel free to hit that subscribe button down below and make sure you click off the notification bell icon right next to it so you guys and gals get notified when I publish new videos. That being said, if this video piqued your interest, all the links to where y'all can pick up this device and the recommended cases, micro SD card, and screen protectors, all that good stuff will be linked up down below in the video description. So as always, if your interest is piqued, down below in the video description will be like a one-stop shop for you guys and gals, and you should be good to go. Alright, housekeeping done, let's dive straight into this full review. Let's go. Starting off here, the first thing I want to talk about with everyone is the overall build quality and design of the G Power itself. Now, build quality wise, this bad boy is built out of a combination of glossy plastics and glass. So in particular, we have a plastic unibody, okay? And it wraps all the way around the device, all the way around the sides, the top, the back. And then we have glass on the front. In particular, I believe this is Gorilla Glass 3 on the front. Okay? But in terms of the overall build quality, I have to say Motorola has done a great job. The build quality on this one is really, really good. Okay? Has a nice solid weight to it, but it also feels very nice in the hands. So the overall build quality on this is really good in my opinion. Talking about the overall design, this bad boy is pretty much what we would call a modern design device. So we got that triple camera setup on the rear going downwards. We got the always active capacitive fingerprint scanner in the middle. And then flipping it to the front, you can see we got that punch hole notch up in the corner. So this is pretty much what I would call a modern design device. All right? Modern indeed. So overall, when we talk about the design, I think it's really good as well. Now, I was kind of bummed because I feel like a lot of people, you know, the full screen devices was kind of a flash in the pan. We got to see one iteration, maybe two, and then everybody jumped on the punch holes and the notches. Not a fan of the punch holes or the notches, but it is what it is. But in terms of the design, this is pretty much a modern design right here. And in terms of the build quality and design together on the whole, I would have to say it's really good. So Motorola did a really good job in these two categories. All right. Up next now, let's dive into my thoughts and overall opinions on this display. So up front, dead center here, we have a 6.4-inch IPS Gorilla Glass 3 1080p Plus display with a 19:9 aspect ratio, giving it an overall screen density of 399 pixels per inch. And again, it's 1080p. In particular, that's 1080p by 2300 resolution. For all you guys and gals that like to want to know the technical specifications, there you have it. Now, talking about this display in terms of daily usage, let's get into it. Now, I have to say in terms of daily usage indoors, this was a pretty good display. even though I did notice a few things. When I'm using it indoors, now this is adjusted for the cameras on the video so it doesn't blow out so much. But when I'm using it indoors, I typically keep it at right about here, a little bit over 75% brightness, and that looks perfect to my eyes, in my opinion. And then when I go outdoors, I find that I have to rock it at max brightness, okay? And then even outdoors at max brightness, I still find that it's kind of hard to see, especially in direct sunlight. So if you're outdoors often and you use your device in direct sunlight often, you may not like this device as much. And I have to say, I've pretty much gotten used to POLED displays. That's what's on my Pixel, and Super AMOLED displays. I use a lot of Galaxy devices aside from that, so because I use a combination of Galaxy and Google devices. Google devices have really nice AMOLED or POLED displays, and then Galaxy devices have really nice Super AMOLED displays. So I have to tell y'all, because I got to keep it 100, coming back down to this LCD display, I did notice, at least where the brightness is concerned, it definitely leaves a lot more to be desired. And I would have to say that was probably the only weak point to this display in terms of daily usage, is that I wish it got brighter outdoors in direct sunlight, because it is a little bit of a struggle to use there. But other than that, this display, I would have to say, is really good, and I didn't have any other issues. Okay? So once again, Motorola did a really good job, in my opinion. Okay? Now, moving on here, let's now dive a little bit deeper into the hardware and the software on this device. Let's start off with the hardware first. Now, hardware-wise, this bad boy is packing 4 gigs of RAM with 64 gigs of onboard storage, and it does give you the ability via micro SD card to expand that internal storage and make that micro SD card adaptable, expandable storage. So that's really, really nice. It also, on paper, has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, but I found that in my testing, it's actually a 4,700 milliamp hour battery. I don't know why Motorola continues to lie with their battery capacities. Same thing happened with the Moto G7 Power. They said 5,000. Via my testing, I found out that it was actually a 4,700. Same thing with this one. They said 5,000. Via my testing, I found out it was 4,700. That being said, I also link up a really nice disassembly video so you can actually see the battery capacity on this one. All right. But it does, at least on paper, have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, but technically it's 4,700. And I gotta tell y'all, spoiler alert, the battery on this one is really, really good. Okay? Talking about some more internals, we have a triple camera setup on the rear, 16 megapixel primary, 8 megapixel ultra wide, and a 2 megapixel macro sensor. Why, Motorola? 2 megapixel macro sensor? Come on now. Nah. Now, in terms of the rear-facing cameras, the primary camera maxes out at a video recording resolution of 4K at 30 FPS, or you can record 1080p 120 frames per second slow motion video, or 720p 240 frames per second slow motion video. Okay? So at least where the primary cameras are concerned, with the 16 megapixel sensor, you should be fully covered. Okay? Now, talking about more internals, as I said, we do also have that always active capacitive fingerprint sensor on the rear. Let me demo for y'all. So one tap and we in business, and it pretty much works 100% of the time. And it's super duper accurate and super duper responsive. So really nice, always active capacitive fingerprint sensor, in my opinion. Good stuff there as well. Jumping over to the front of the device, we already covered the display, so we're not going to rehash that. But we do have a 16 megapixel front-facing secondary camera that maxes out at a recording resolution of 1080p 30 FPS. Okay, so good stuff there. Kind of would have liked a higher recording resolution on the front, but it is what it is. All right. Other than that, we do have a dual speaker setup. We have one bottom firing speaker here, and then we have one front facing speaker in the receiver grill right there. Okay, so we do have a dual speaker setup. Now it is bottom firing and front firing, so I would have preferred a dual front firing setup, but it is what it is. You guys and gals are going to get a speaker demonstration a little bit later on in the video. All right. Other hardware, we are rocking USB Type-C, and we do have turbo power charging built into this device. In particular, this one maxes out at 10 watts. All right. And we do have that 3.5 millimeter headphone jack as well. Okay. So good stuff there. Now, in terms of the chipset on this one, y'all, we are rocking the new Snapdragon 665 octa-core chipset and the new Adreno 610 GPU. All right. And honestly, it gets the job done in terms of performance. Okay. Now, in terms of the software, because I do believe that covers all the hardware, we are rocking Android 10 on this bad boy right here. And I do believe we have the latest September security patch. Let me verify for everyone real quickly. So let's jump into the settings, and then let's go down to security right here. And then we can see in terms of security patch, my mistake, we are rocking the November 1st security patch. Let me give y'all a close-up of that. So y'all can see we're rocking the November 1st security patch. And in terms of the Play Store security patch, we're rocking the October 1st security patch. So we're almost up to date. I mean, we're in December as of the recording of this video, and they're on November. So they're a couple months behind. November, December, they're a month behind in terms of the system security patches, and then they're 2 months behind in terms of the Play Store security patches. But at least where the security is concerned, it's pretty close. It's pretty close. And again, we're rocking that Android 10. All right. So at least in terms of system OS, we're almost up to date. I mean, Android 11 has been out for a while, so I don't know why they haven't done it yet. And in terms of OS, this bad boy is about as stock as you can ask for, with some very slight customizations to it. All right. So what are some of my favorite customizations in terms of the software? We got that chop for the flashlight. That's one of my absolute favorites. I use that one a lot. And then we got the twist for the cameras. Again, one of my absolute favorites. I use that a lot. Other than that, we do have some other Motorola software things built in here, but those are two of my absolute favorites. Now, I'm pushing all types of buttons. My bad, y'all. Now, I have done a full dedicated software walkthrough on this device. Okay, so I'll link that up down below in the video description for y'all to check out. It's a little old, but pretty much it's all still the same. And the only thing that they've added to their software is a gaming mode. I don't really like gaming mode, so I turned that off. But in terms of the software and daily performance, I have to say it's pretty good. Now, it's not the best I've seen, and I would have to equate that to the fact that it has 4 gigs of RAM. Really, Android, in my opinion, is very RAM hungry. So you really need a minimum of 6 to 8 gigs of RAM now. 8 would make it perfect, in my opinion. Anything over 8 is kind of just like overkill. But 4 gigs of RAM gets the job done, and it works for the most part really, really good. Now, I have still experienced some app hiccups, some app stutters, and a lot of app refreshes. So there is that. So you want to be mindful of that if you want an overall smooth experience. And I would say you probably want to keep this one to about 10 to 14 apps open in the background if you want to maintain that smooth experience. That's what I would recommend. But other than that, in terms of the software, I have to say it's really good. Really good indeed. Okay, let's keep it moving now. So we covered the hardware and the software. Now let's jump into the Wi-Fi and the overall Wi-Fi performance. Now in terms of the Wi-Fi, this bad boy supports dual band AC Wi-Fi. So we have access to our 2.4 gigahertz band and our 5 gigahertz band Wi-Fi. And I'm not going to bore everyone with the numbers. We're just going to jump straight into the Wi-Fi performance test. Now, I also want to point out that I do have a variety of applications open in the background. So throughout this video, you should get a really good idea of the overall memory management that this device is capable of. Okay, so I do have a copyright-free YouTube video pulled up in the background. Let's go ahead and launch that. And you can see it did have to refresh that. So now I got to go find that again. Let me go to my library. And here we go. Let me max out the volume because this YouTube video will also double as a speaker test. Okay, so volume is maxed. You can see it right there. Let me readjust the microphone real quickly. Boom. All right, and let's go ahead and push play on the video here. Copyright-free music. Let's go. All right, let's go up through the video now. Check the overall performance. Okay, real quick speaker test, real quick Wi-Fi performance test on the G Power. Let me go ahead and share my opinions now with everyone in this video. Let's go ahead, let's go. Now, in terms of the Wi-Fi, as you guys and gals saw, the overall Wi-Fi performance is top-notch, very responsive, no hiccups, no buffers. Overall Wi-Fi performance, really good on this one. In terms of the overall speaker performance, I have to say it is really good. It gets very crisp, clear, and loud, and it has a nice deep bass to it. Okay, so overall speaker performance on here is really good, but the weak point to the speakers, in my opinion, is the overall speaker placement. Now, the front-facing speaker, I like that. Front-facing, front-mounted, front-firing, good stuff. As y'all saw via the demonstration, really can't muffle it, okay? But the bottom-firing speaker, very easy to muffle and or distort. And as y'all heard, I don't know how well my microphone picked it up, but these speakers, yet again, are unbalanced. So the bottom-firing speaker is doing a majority of the work, and the front-firing speaker is not really pushing out too much. So I would have really liked for these speakers to be balanced and front-firing. So although the overall speaker performance is really good, I'm not a fan of the placement and the setup. So Motorola, you definitely need some improvement there. You could do it, Motorola. You can do it. Okay? Let me spin the mic back around and let's keep going. Alright, let's go. Okay, so we covered the Wi-Fi, we covered the speakers. Let's move on now and talk about the LTE and the band supported in this one. All right, let's go. Now, LTE wise, this bad boy, I gotta keep it straight 100 with y'all. This bad boy is a straight talk Verizon device. Okay, so this doesn't have 5G, but it has all the bands for 4G LTE, and I am using it on straight talk Verizon. All right, so let me show y'all here. So y'all can see here is a shot of all the bands. And I did get this on the 24-month payment program on Straight Talk Verizon. I can pay that off at any point, but I really wanted to put this through a long-term review and come out with that coverage for y'all. So after I'm done, I will be able to get this unlocked, and then it will be globally unlocked. It will work on CDMA and GSM networks, all right? But for as of right now, it only works on CDMA Verizon networks, all right? But you can see here is a shot of all the bands supported, all right? So if you pick up the globally unlocked version, it's going to work no problem on any carrier that you decide to take it to. And I got to say, in terms of bands and coverage, Motorola devices are second to none. Pretty much Motorola sells some of the best globally unlocked devices, and they pretty much just work, all right? So good stuff there when we talk about the LTE and the bands supported. Let's keep it moving now. Let's now go over the Bluetooth performance. Now, Bluetooth-wise, this bad boy is packing Bluetooth 5.0 on board. And I gotta say, in terms of the Bluetooth performance, it worked pretty much without any issue. And this is just two of my favorite Bluetooth devices that I have connected up. I keep these two earbuds on tap. They're never far away because they're two of my absolute favorites. The Air Free and the Buds Plus, two of my absolute favorite earbuds, all right? Okay? And in terms of the overall Bluetooth performance, no issues whatsoever. And y'all can see I pretty much always keep it connected up to my Mi Band 4. So that's why you can see the Bluetooth is on and the location is on, because that's one of the two things that I need always on for my Mi Band to always get its data and information and track my sleep, track my steps. So the overall Bluetooth performance on this is top notch, and I haven't had any issues. No issues whatsoever. And let's go ahead and jump over to the GPS now, which is pretty much more of the same. Let me pull up my latest screenshot for y'all as we talk about it. So, talking about the GPS on here, again, similar to the Bluetooth performance, it has been top notch and I haven't had any issues. Anything that needed to take advantage of the onboard GPS worked without issues, no problems whatsoever. Okay, and y'all can see via the latest screenshot here, let me show y'all, get y'all that close up, that it actually saw a large majority of the satellites, and it used a large majority of the satellites to lock on to my location, and the signal strength is actually really good. So overall GPS performance on here is top notch in my overall opinion. All right, so good stuff there as well. Okay, now let's keep it moving now. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about with everyone is the overall call quality and speaker call quality on this device. Now, once again, I want to say that this is very subjective and very location based, okay? Depending on your carrier and your carrier's coverage, your results may vary, okay? I'd have to say physically, the hardware accounts for what I would consider to be about 45% of the overall performance, and then the rest of that percentage is actually your location, carrier coverage, so on and so forth. And I have to say, I've said it before in other videos, in my area of Florida, AT&T and Verizon provide the best overall coverage and performance. And again, this is a straight talk Verizon device, so I gotta tell y'all, the call quality for making phone calls through the onboard receiver was top notch. Didn't have any issues hearing callers. They didn't have any issues hearing me. And the same thing goes for the speakerphone calls. Didn't have any issues hearing them. Got very loud, crisp, and clear. No issues whatsoever. All right, so good stuff when we talk about the overall call quality and speaker call quality on this device. All right, good stuff indeed. All right, moving on now, let's now talk about my overall experience with these cameras. Now, once again, I want to reiterate, we got a 16 megapixel front-facing camera up front, and we got a triple camera setup on the rear, okay? 16, 8, and 2 megapixels. All right, now with these cameras, Motorola has implemented quad binning software. So out of the box, I believe they output at 8 megapixels or 4 megapixels, even though the primary cameras on the G Power are 16 megapixel sensors. Now, that being said, all I really did was jump into the settings and change the output to 16 megapixel mode. Other than that, everything I've done with this device was with the device set to auto. And talking about my overall experience with the cameras on the G Power, I would have to say that I'm very, very disappointed. All right? I've used this device alongside a plethora of devices that, you know, in my opinion, performed dramatically better. Now, when I judge cameras, okay, I've done a full dedicated camera video. I'll link it down below. But when I judge cameras, I'm judging the cameras from 3 different criteria: point and shoot photo capture capability, point and shoot video capture capability, and audio capture performance. All right? And for 2 of these 3 categories, this device did a great job. Where did this device suffer, in my opinion? Well, it suffered with the photo capture capabilities. I found that during my testing, I really had to keep snapping 2, 3, 4, at most 5 shots before I got a really good shot that I could use. A lot of the time it came out of focus, it came out blurry, came out shaky, and I had to re-snap it. And that's really unacceptable, especially when you're a person coming from something like a Pixel device, where with Pixels it's pretty much point and shoot, and 9 times out of 10 you're going to get a great shot. Or you're a person coming from a Samsung device, where again, similar to Pixels, it's very point and shoot, and 9 times out of 10 you're going to get a great shot. Okay, so I was very, very disappointed with the fact that I had to take 2, 3, at most 5 shots before I got a good picture out of this device. So the weak point on this device would have to be the photo capture capabilities. Other than that, the video performance was good, the audio performance was really good, but, and I hate to say it, but Motorola keeps doing it, they disabled the external microphone support via their stock camera application. So if I wanted to use external microphones, I had to sideload a third-party camera app. And, you know, I was very disappointed by that because Motorola makes one of the best stock camera applications. Everything is up front, dead center, laid out very nicely, very easy to use, but they disabled that recognition of the external microphone in the software, and I don't understand why they keep doing that. I don't understand it at all, especially when they're one of the few devices that still has that 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Okay? Thank you, Motorola, for keeping that, but I don't understand why you disable that software recognition in your stock camera application. So more points came off of more points came off of the device because of that, in my opinion. But overall, the weak point on this is the photo capture capabilities, really good video performance if you have good to really good lighting, and really good audio capture performance on this one as well. All right, so that pretty much does it for the cameras on this device. Now, again, I've done a full dedicated camera walkthrough, and y'all feel free to check that out. If you would like, I'll link it up down below. Okay? Y'all check out the photo samples, y'all check out the video samples, and leave y'all feedback in that video. I really want to hear it. I want to hear everybody's opinions on this one, because everybody's opinions matter at the end of the day. All right. But in terms of the cameras, that's my overall thoughts on it. That's my overall opinions on it. Okay. Let's keep it moving now. Up next, let's talk about the gaming on this one. Now, gaming, it actually did an okay to good job. Out of the box, it pretty much worked without any issues or little to no issues. Okay, aside from the fact that it did take a while to load up. But again, this is a new school mid-range processor. I wasn't expecting it to load up super fast. But I did notice that the game was a little choppy unless I went in there and adjusted the settings. Now, I've done a separate dedicated gaming performance video. I'll link that up down below as well. And when I did that video, I pretty much left everything on the stock default settings. So I didn't adjust anything. And I did notice some performance dips while I was playing, okay? So in terms of gaming, although it works, you will probably want to adjust some of those settings for a smoother experience, okay? So overall, gaming was okay to good on this one. All right, now, moving on, let's briefly run through these benchmarks, and then we're going to get into the last two categories, the overall battery life and charge times, and the overall pricing and final thoughts. So let's briefly breeze through these benchmarks real fast and in a hurry. Let's go. So, one thing I also want to mention is that Antutu seems to be banned from the Play Store at the moment. So there will be no Antutu scores in terms of my benchmarks here. But I did cover all the other relevant benchmarks in my opinion. So up first, we got the 3D Mark slingshot testing for OpenGL and Vulkan. And you can see OpenGL scored a 1,116. Vulkan scored a 1,035. All right. Moving on. Geekbench 5. Single core 311. Multi-core 1,343. Okay. Geekbench 5 compute test. OpenCL test 363. Open compute test with the Vulkan backend 492. Alright, so you can see there was a big difference between OpenCL and Vulkan, but not the best scores, not the best at all. Moving on, then we have the Disco Mark multitasking benchmark, and as the name implies, I loaded up all of my applications that I use on a daily basis, and this is the overall time that it got. Now, it didn't do too bad with the individual app opening times, but the overall time was really, really bad. So you can see it scored an overall time of 24.815 seconds. And that was really, really slow. And I did notice a lot of app refreshes. Okay, so the memory management definitely needs some work. Moving on, we got the Volemo metal test. It did score much better here, but this is an older benchmark, so I was kind of expecting it to score a lot better. It scored a 2,740, which is pretty good. Then we got the Volemo multi-core test, and it pretty much maxed out the test, scoring a 3,009. So really good multi-core performance on this one, at least with older benchmarks. And that pretty much does it for the benchmark category. All right, let's keep it moving now. Let's go. So up next now, the next thing we're going to talk about here. Oops, my bad. Back up. Don't want to mess up my setup. Okay, come out of that. The next thing we're going to talk about here is I want to briefly run through the overall battery life and the overall charge times. Now, before we dive in, I just want to give everyone an overall look at the overall battery health. So let me pull that up. And you can also see the number of charges that I put on the device since my time of picking it up. So you can see the overall battery health is at 103. And I can indeed verify that it does have a 4,700 milliamp hour battery. And there's the number of charges I've put on the device since I picked it up. Okay, so you can see the battery health is still at 100%, and it is indeed a 4,700 milliamp hour battery. Okay, and this is using the AccuBattery Pro application. All right, so I just wanted to show y'all that. Now, let's dive into the overall charge times and the overall battery life on this device, and I'll have the accompanying screenshots thrown up in post for y'all to check out and pause and see for yourself. Now, in terms of the charge times, this bad boy again supports 10-watt USB Type-C turbo power charging, and it took about 2.5 to 3.5 hours to reach a full charge. Now, for reference, I charge these things from 5% to 100, 3 to 5 times, 10% to 100, 3 to 5 times, 15% to 100, 3 to 5 times, 20% to 100, 3 to 5 times, and I just average out the charge times, okay? So, 2.5 to 3.5 hours is pretty long, but if you look at it in consideration to the overall battery life that you're getting out of this device, that is really, really good, especially if you consider the overall battery capacity that's in this device right here. Okay, so charge times are not the best, but they are still pretty good. But this device's claim to fame is the overall battery life. Now, I have to say the battery life on this one has been phenomenal, okay? With moderate to light usage, I can get anywhere from 3 to 5 days on a single charge and average anywhere from about 10 to 14 hours of screen on time, depending on what I was doing for that particular day. And keep in mind, y'all, your guys and gals results may vary because we all use our devices differently and we all charge our devices differently. But I have to say, this device has provided some overall phenomenal battery life, okay? It's right on par with my Mi Band, if you ask my opinion, okay? So the battery life on this one is really, really good. Again, check out the screenshots if you want to see for yourself. That being said, that was light to moderate usage. Even with heavy usage, I easily made it through the day, if not a day and a half, and I was still pulling down a good 12 to 14 hours of screen on time. I think the max amount of screen on time I got with this device was about 17 hours of SOT. Okay, so that was still really good in my opinion. Okay, I was binge watching a lot of YouTube and a lot of Netflix and Hulu that day. Okay, so the overall battery life on this device, I would have to say, is top notch. And Motorola has pretty much got the battery life category in the bag when it comes to their devices. All right, so that does it for the charge times and the overall battery life. Now let's jump into the last category. Let's talk pricing, availability, final thoughts, and recommendation time. Let's go. Now, talking about the pricing, again, I want to reiterate, I picked this one up from straighttalk.com, and I picked it up on their 24-month payment program. So I am actually still paying for it a monthly price of $8.04. Full retail, this bad boy is going to cost me $180 after taxes. All right. Now, I still did do my due diligence and I scoured the internet and I found this device available right now today. As of the recording of this video, it's December 28th. Right now today, this device is available ranging in price from $180 to at most $250. And at that price point, can I recommend that y'all pick this device up? Well, and you know, it kind of hurts me to say this, but yes and no, and let me explain. Yes, if you're looking for an all-around really good device that's not going to break the bank and is going to last a really long time and serve you well, if you're a light to moderate user, yes, you should enjoy this. Be happy. You saved a lot of money. You got a really good overall device. Good stuff. No, if you're looking for a device that you can pick up right now today and for it to have really good cameras, really good software, really good battery life, really good overall charge times, no. As you heard throughout this video, this device does some of that, but it doesn't do all of that, okay? Now, what is the weak point? The cameras. Now, if you're looking for a device with a similar package to this one, with a lot better cameras, then I feel like some of the newer Galaxy devices are the way to go. Now, I'm holding up an older Galaxy device, but this should be the standard right here. Motorola, if your cameras don't rival at least the S7 or at least the S7 Active, then you gotta put some more work in, okay? I'm saying, you know how old these devices are, and they still got a better camera than this? Now, I don't care if they're flagships or not, okay? This is a 2020 mid-range device. It should have cameras that beat out these older flagship devices. So Motorola, you definitely got some more work to do when we talk about the cameras. And again, I can recommend, if you want an overall more well-rounded device, I can recommend any one of the newer Samsung Galaxy mid-ranges, okay? Prime example, and I'm sorry if I'm making this video a little long. My family uses iPhone and they use Samsung, okay? There's an elite few that use LG, and then even more elite few, myself included, that use Motorola. But primarily, my family uses iPhones and they use Samsung, okay? And without fail, every year when that new iPhone drop, I get that phone call, "Hey, yo, E, what you think? Is it worth the upgrade?" And without fail, every year I get that phone call when the new Galaxies drop, "Hey, yo, E, what you think? Is it worth the upgrade?" And 9 times out of 10, I always tell them, "Well, is your device slowing down? No. Still running fluid? Still running snappy? Nah, save your money. When your device starts slowing down, then you might want to consider upgrading." Okay? And I have cousins, okay? I have cousins in college, cousins in high school, got part-time jobs, and without fail, I get the same phone call. They're on the mid-range Samsungs. "Hey, yo, E, what you think? Is it time to upgrade?" And I tell them the same thing. But this year, more than any other year, especially with the 5G device, the 5G mid-range devices that Samsung is putting out for similar prices to this, oh man, I don't really recommend these unless battery life is the most important thing for you. And honestly, Samsung mid-range devices are offering similar battery life to this, especially with their updated software improvements. So yes, I can recommend this, but I can also recommend any of the Samsung mid-range devices, especially as they prepare to come down in price as the newer Samsung devices get released. So what are some of the Samsung devices that I could recommend over this? Well, the Samsung Galaxy A31s is a similar price to this, $180 to $250, and I can recommend that one over this. Again, similar triple camera setup, a lot better cameras in my opinion, and a lot better software in my opinion. And I can also recommend the Samsung Galaxy A31. Again, similar battery life, similar camera setup, better software in my overall opinion, similar price. Okay, $180 to $250. All right, and then if you want to go a step further, if you want to spend a little bit more money, I can also recommend the Samsung Galaxy M31, which comes in at $250 to $280. Okay, again, much bigger battery, similar display, similar camera layout, much better overall software. And then, if you just want to future-proof and you want to say, skip it, I want to pick up one device, and I want it to be a mid-range device, and I want it to last for the next few years before I have to upgrade, well, then you're looking at the Samsung Galaxy A51 5G, or you're looking at the Samsung Galaxy A71 5G. Those devices come in at $100 more than this one, so we're looking at $350, and they have, again, similar cameras, bigger displays, similar battery life, and much better software. So, again, and this is where I have to say Motorola needs to step their game up. The mid-range tier of devices is super duper competitive, and Motorola's been holding it down for a while now, but we got manufacturers that are chomping at the bits to get that #1 slot, and they're delivering a much better overall experience. So, once again, can I recommend this device at this price? Yes. But I can also recommend any and all of those other devices that I just pointed out. Again, links will be down below in the video description for y'all to check out. Alright, I hope everyone's having a great day. I hope everyone is staying safe out there, and I will catch everyone in the next one. Have a good one, everybody. We are out of here. Peace.